Hi everyone, welcome to the FRIENDICOES Sanctuary. Almost 20 years of hard work. We were in defense colony under the flyover, and we never dreamt we would have a sanctuary of our own, but it had become a necessity. We had so many animals that were spilling over into the park. We started looking after large animals like horses and donkeys that we knew inevitably we would have to invest in a lifetime sanctuary. We were so lucky that in 1999 the RSPCA UK helped us and we were able to buy 2.5 acres in Gurgaon. And this is indeed a dream come true, that we have the Lifetime Care Sanctuary today, and I'd love to take you around and show you all the animals here that lead happy lives of dignity and care. This is where FRIENDICOES first began, and we only had a shed. We didn't have good stables. So I'm very happy to say right now we have 37 beautiful state-of-the-art stables, and about 38 of our very old horses are able to stay here in comfort when it's very hot or it's very cold in winters. Over here we have some special stables that we have made for our blind animals. As you know, all our animals are rescued animals, and so they come to us handicapped one way or the other. And we have a lot of animals who are blind or partially blind. So now our donkeys, mules, ponies that have difficulty in managing the enclosures where other healthy and sighted animals are, we are able to stable them separately. And this is such a great comfort to the animals. We have to honestly thank Seavent and District Parks, who've been great donors and who understood our need and have helped us to give comfortable stabling to our blind animals. So these are the stables for the blind animals. And as we go through this gate, we enter the sick animals section. When we rescue a pony or a mule or a foal or even a calf or a cow, it is first brought here to what is our sick animal section. And we have redone this recently with help from the Bridget Bardot Foundation, and we are able to give them very comfortable stabling. You'll notice we keep very soft soil so that if they have hoof problems, and most of them come with hoof problems or they come with wounds and injuries, they have soft substrata on which they can walk and stay. And we have our vets taking care of them. We have a very dedicated team of young boys, most of them from Rajasthan, and they do a great job with the animals, taking care of them and looking after them. We have been doing huge rescues of horses from polo clubs, from riding clubs, from brooding stations where people then abandon the mares after they are no use for breeding pedigreed thoroughbreds. So we have done a lot of rescues. We did the 53 mares that we rescued from Aligarh. We often get 10 to 15 animals at one time, and it is wonderful to see them recover from coming to us dehydrated and miserable to becoming beautiful horses, enjoying the sun and galloping every day. We're also very proud and honored that we've been able to give a place to 115 police horses as they've been retired over the years, over the last 15 years. And we can walk through and see the stables that we have made for them. So here you can see a lot of mules and ponies who are really old and worn out. And these are all the animals that we rescue because we run our Equine mobile clinic, and we have been running one since 1984. And we began first by looking after the equines who were in Delhi, at Turkman Gate, Seelampur. There were over 68 Tonga stands and over 3,500 equines in Delhi itself. Then slowly, as these equines got phased out, we started going into the villages outside Delhi, where the Tonga Wallas would call us and say, Bibiji, the animal needs surgery or the animal is not well. And today our mobile clinic goes all the way up to Agra It goes to Jevar, Tapal, Vrindavan, Mathura, Bharatpur, Fatehpur Sikri and Agra, and we take care of about 2,500 equines along this route. Since 1984, FRIENDICOES has been giving free medical treatment, doing surgeries in the field, deworming, teaching them how to take better care of their animals. We give water in summer, we try and give them blankets and keens during the seasons, winter seasons, and we've been trying to do our best to help them, especially also the donkeys at the brick kilns. So these are the animals that have had to be brought back to the sanctuary and could not be left in the field, and therefore we always have a number of fresh mules or donkeys that have been injured. These days our rescues tend to be like people have left blind animals on the DND flyover, or people abandon them by the highways and the wayside, and these animals are picked up by our equine team led by Dr. Akhilesh, and we come here and we are able to give them good and happy homes. So you can see them all out there enjoying the sun. Right there in front of us are all the retired police horses that we've been given by the Delhi police. They live with us to a ripe old age till 30, 32. We just lost our oldest horse at 32. And we do every kind of geriatric care, and we make sure that they are given comfortable lives. Many of them are medal winners. Many of them have brought a lot of pride to the police services. So we feel that we are honored. They are like officers in their own right, and we feel they deserve a life of peace and dignity at the end of their lives. So FRIENDICOES began with companion animals. We used to look after dogs and then cats, and then we got into the Equine Mobile program in 1984, and then unwittingly also started a Gaushala. And when you get a hit and run animal, you can't leave it on the road to suffer, and so we'd bring the cow or the calf back. The bulls who would be abandoned would come back to us, and slow and steady, without our realizing it, the number of cows increased. So here you can see how we have a lot of beautiful bulls, and you can see a gorgeous kankrage at that end. We have Gir bulls over here. We have lovely desis, and I think they are such handsome animals, but they're given such a raw deal in animal welfare because we really don't know where to keep them, and we don't know where to place them in our entire economic system and in our agricultural system. People no longer need them. They're not part of families anymore. They're not part of the agrarian system. They're not used for plowing. So with the result, their value is absolutely zero, and consequently they suffer a lot on the roads and the highways because they are clumsy animals. They don't move very fast and they get hit and run really quickly. So slow and steady, we're finding that we have got a large number of these animals to rescue and look after, and we constantly need help because we're constantly rebuilding sheds and enlarging their fields. FRIENDICOES doesn't own most of this. We just own the original 2.5 acres, but we have rented about 10 acres to give the animals exercise and to house them on. And we've rented another 21 acres on which we grow their fodder, and we grow vegetables and greens so that we can continue to feed both the staff as well as the animals. So it's become quite a huge enterprise, and we are finding it difficult to be self-sufficient. We certainly need donations to help us keep taking care of them and give them basics of nutrition, medical care, and adequate staffing so that they're not neglected at any point. We are now trying to develop the fields which are beyond these. In the distance you can see a piggery. We rescued a mama pig, and then before we knew what was happening, baby pigs followed, and we now have 9 very healthy pigs who have a wonderful little enclosure of their own with a wallow pool and a lot of snuffling area in which they can play. Also, without our realizing it, we often have to do rescues of other species in large numbers, and so we landed up rescuing goats, and then goats and lambs, and now I think we have quite a large number of them. And they are, again, it's like every time you rescue an animal, you get to know the species, you understand how intelligent, loving, and pet-like, companion-like every species can be. The animals over here, the cows, the bulls, as well as the goats, really become friends, and you can play with them and interact with them. And I think that's the message the sanctuary is trying to give, that one has to respect all animals, any species, and try and build a bridge, as it were, between us and them, and see them as more than economic units. Unfortunately, that's what we tend to do to our farm animals. We see them only as economic units. Even companion animals today don't have a happy deal. They're bought for their pedigree or status symbol. They're abandoned so easily. And we are flooded with dogs too that should be in good homes, but unfortunately find themselves on the streets, and we have to rescue them. Our program with the Equine Mobile Clinic has been unusually successful, but it has no dedicated donors to back it. Whatever we can raise by general donations, we then invest in medicines and the vehicle fuel and running costs. So it would be wonderful to know that we can continue with this work in the rural parts. We can continue to give water and other welfare measures to the donkey owners as well as the mule and pony owners. For that, we really would request dedicated funding, if possible, to anyone who would like to see us look after these families. It's one of our projects where both human welfare and animal welfare is taken care of, because one animal looks after and feeds about 10 to 12 people on an average. And it is not likely that rural areas will stop using these animals as beasts of burden, and therefore it would be wonderful if we could get sustained funding so we can continue this program for the next 2 decades at least. This is Magroor, a camel who doesn't like women, so I'm not going to try and tamper with him, but he had a fractured leg and therefore was abandoned. He was probably brought in for camel rides. Magroor was probably brought in for camel rides, and then when he fractured his leg, hit and run by some passing vehicle, he was abandoned by his owner, rescued and brought to us by some volunteers, and he's having a good life here. And these are our goats. As you can see, extremely friendly, affectionate, and playful. We tend to use every inch of space available to house the animals and to keep them in the open wherever possible. To our right are some more rescued horses, and just beyond them the donkeys. And the donkeys are a great attraction, and many people just don't realize that you can actually play with donkeys. They're only seen as beasts of burden, and especially in India, they're treated like an animal to be used and disposed of. We see many tragic sights at the brick kilns where even when their legs are fractured or they have a hip displacement, they just tie sticks around them and make the animal walk up and down, carrying the bricks to the kiln and back when it is baked. So I think we were trying to show by bringing the donkeys here and getting them to relate to our visitors and people, we were trying to show that here's another animal that requires respect for the work it does for us, the fact that it earns livelihoods for hundreds of families, and at the same time deserves to be cared for. For example, it was an eye-opener for me that donkeys are never stabled and donkeys are never fed. They're simply turned out to grass at the end of a hard day's work. And these days, as we know, there are no grazing lands available, and the animals therefore stray too close to the highways and get hit and run. So donkeys are a special mission of FRIENDICOES, and right from the very beginning, we have been rescuing mules and donkeys from construction sites, brick kilns, markets, and other places of work where they are abandoned.